Your dog is not becoming more like you by accident. There is a specific psychological mechanism, documented in peer-reviewed research, by which the person you are, on the inside, gets written into the animal living with you. The nervousness, the warmth, the need for control, your dog is already fluent in all of it. If you want to understand what your dog is really telling you, you're in the right place. There is a pattern hiding in plain sight in almost every long-term dog owner relationship. You have probably noticed it without having a name for it. Your anxious friend has an anxious dog. Your calm, easygoing neighbor has a dog that barely flinches at anything. The person who is constantly on edge has a dog that barks at shadows. And the person who moves through the world with a kind of settled, unhurried confidence, their dog greets strangers with a wagging tail and a loose, relaxed gait. For a long time, we assumed this was about breed or early socialization or luck. But longitudinal observation of dog-owner pairs tells a more complicated story. Dogs that start out as high-energy puppies settle into the emotional rhythm of their household over years. Dogs that begin timid can become bold when their owner's presence consistently signals safety. And the reverse is equally true. A dog that starts relatively confident can develop chronic low-level anxiety when the environment it lives in is chronically uncertain. The direction of influence matters here. This is not just the dog adapting to training cues. This is the dog absorbing the emotional climate of the person it lives with and reorganizing its own nervous system accordingly. When I came across a 2021 study published in Frontiers in Veterinary Science by Powell and colleagues, I had to sit with it for a while before I shared it. The researchers were studying treatment outcomes in canine behavioral medicine, why some dogs improved with intervention and others did not. What they found was not primarily about the dog, it was about the owner. Owner personality, specifically traits like neuroticism, agreeableness, and conscientiousness, predicted whether the dog's behavioral problems resolved over time more powerfully than the dog's age, breed, or prior history. The human in the room was a stronger variable than the animal being treated. This is not a study about training technique. It is a study about who you are when you walk into the room, and what your presence, consistently over time, does to the creature that is watching you most closely. When I paired that with the 2016 work from Raymond and colleagues in Applied Animal Behavior Science, which mapped canine personality structures and found they bore systematic resemblance to owner-reported personality dimensions, the picture came into sharp focus. Your dog has not just been living with you. Your dog has been learning you, and then slowly and without either of you noticing, becoming you. Number 1. You have been broadcasting your anxiety on a frequency your dog has been receiving for years. This is not a metaphor. When a person experiences chronic low-level stress, the kind that comes from a demanding job, a difficult relationship, financial pressure, or simply a nervous temperament, their body produces measurable physiological signals, elevated cortisol, subtle changes in posture and breathing, micro-expressions that flash faster than human perception can consciously register. Dogs, however, have spent roughly 15,000 years evolving to read exactly these signals in human faces and bodies. Udell and colleagues at the University of Florida published research in learning and behavior, demonstrating that dogs engage in sophisticated perspective taking, adjusting their behavior based on what they infer about the human's internal state, not merely what the human has explicitly communicated. Your dog is not responding to what you say or even what you do. It is responding to what it reads in you. The anxious dog is in most cases a dog that has been accurately reading an anxious owner and reorganizing its own threat detection system to match. That is not a behavioral problem in the dog. That is a portrait of you that your dog has been painting. If that just made you see your relationship with your pet in a completely different way, hit subscribe. We explore the science of the human-pet bond every week and what it reveals about us. Let us keep going. Number 2. The way you relate to other people is the template your dog uses for how to relate to the world. Owners who are highly sociable, who genuinely enjoy the company of strangers, who move through public spaces with ease and warmth, tend to have dogs that greet unfamiliar people and dogs with curiosity and openness. Owners who are more reserved, who find crowds draining, who prefer a small circle and need time alone, tend to have dogs that are more selective with strangers, more likely to hang back, more inclined toward caution. The 2016 Raymond study found that owner-reported personality traits in the dimensions of extroversion and agreeableness bore measurable correspondence to rated canine personality dimensions. What that means in plain language, your social style has been translated into your dog's social behavior. This is not because you trained your dog to be this way. It is because social behavior is fundamentally about emotional safety, and your dog has been using your reactions to social situations as the definitive guide to whether social situations are safe. When you tense up around strangers, your dog registers strangers are a threat. When you relax and open, your dog registers this is safe. You have been the author of your dog's social world without ever picking up a training guide. Number 3. Your home has an emotional temperature, and your dog is the most accurate thermometer in it. Every household has what psychologists call an emotional baseline, the ambient level of activation, warmth, tension, or calm that characterizes ordinary daily life. Some households hum with low-level urgency at all times. Others are loud and chaotic and expressive. Some are withdrawn and quiet in a way that feels comfortable. Others are withdrawn and quiet in a way that feels brittle. Dogs are extraordinarily sensitive to this ambient climate. They do not evaluate your home the way a visitor does. They do not judge a single interaction. They integrate the entire pattern across thousands of daily moments, and they calibrate their own nervous systems to that pattern. A dog in a chronically high-urgency home becomes chronically activated. A dog in a chronically low-warmth home becomes subdued and watchful. A dog in a consistently warm and regulated home becomes, over time, consistently warm and regulated. None of this makes you a bad owner. It makes you human. The emotional temperature of your home is not something you consciously set. It is something that emerges from who you are, from your history, your nervous system, your current circumstances. But knowing that your dog is living inside that temperature, calibrating to it every day, is information worth having. Number 4. Your attachment style, the deep psychological pattern governing how you seek and tolerate closeness, has been shaping your dog's relationship with you in ways that are precise and measurable. Attachment theory, originally developed to describe human-infant caregiver bonds, has been applied to the dog-owner relationship with remarkable predictive accuracy. Owners who are securely attached, who can tolerate both closeness and distance without anxiety, tend to have dogs that show secure base behavior. The dog explores confidently, checks back regularly, and settles comfortably. Owners who are anxiously attached, who need constant reassurance and find separation painful, tend to have dogs that are hypervigilant to the owner's location, distressed when left alone, and overly dependent on physical proximity. The Powell 2021 study specifically noted that owner neuroticism, a dimension closely correlated with anxious attachment, was among the strongest predictors of negative behavioral outcomes in dogs presenting with clinical behavioral problems. This is not about whether you love your dog too much. Love is not the variable. The variable is how you relate to uncertainty, to distance, to the fear of being alone. And your dog has been learning to relate to those same things by watching exactly how you do it. You did not teach your dog to be anxious, but your nervous system is speaking a language they already understand. Number 5. Without realizing it, you have been running a permission system, and your dog has been studying it more carefully than any student has ever studied any subject. The permission system is the invisible architecture of what is allowed to be expressed in your home. Some owners are emotionally expansive. They celebrate loudly, grieve openly, show frustration without shame. Their dogs are typically expressive too. They vocalize, they make dramatic entrances, they have a lot of personality on display. Other owners are emotionally contained. They keep things measured. They do not broadcast their inner states. They prefer quiet. Their dogs are often quieter too, more subtle in how they communicate, more inward. When I looked at the Nose and colleagues' 2019 study from Applied Animal Behavior Science, which validated dog personality scales using owner reports, trainer evaluations, and direct behavioral observation, one finding stayed with me. Owner-rated personality and observer-rated personality showed high correspondence, meaning the way owners described their dogs matched how independent observers saw those same dogs. Owners know their dogs accurately. But what that study could not tell us, And what the Powell work implies is that the owner's accuracy may partly be because the dog has shaped itself to what the owner recognizes as personality. Number 6. The mirroring is not instant, and that is what makes it so easy to miss. A puppy that arrives in your home is not yet shaped by you. It has its own genetic temperament, its early socialization history, its breed tendencies, but over months and years, something shifts. The personality that was there at the beginning starts to take on the contours of the life it is being lived inside. This is the long game of co-regulation, and it runs in both directions. Your dog is not only being shaped by you, the presence of a dog shapes the owner too. Research on the human-animal bond consistently shows that dog ownership is associated with measurable changes in owner stress regulation, social behavior, and emotional resilience. The relationship is bidirectional and cumulative. What this means practically is that if you have had your dog for 3, 5, 8 years, what you are looking at when you look at your dog is not just an animal. You are looking at a record of who you have been for those years. The fears that stayed, the warmth that grew, the habits of mind that calcified or softened. Your dog has been keeping an extraordinarily faithful account of you. Not in words, in the shape of their own personality, built from the raw material of yours, day after day, in the life you share. So, what do you do with this? I want to be careful here, because the last thing this information should feel like is an accusation. If your dog carries anxiety, that is not evidence that you are a broken person. If your dog is socially cautious, that is not a verdict on your worth as an owner. Dogs are not scorecards. They are mirrors, and mirrors show you what is there, not what should be different. But mirrors are useful, and this particular mirror is extraordinarily detailed. The question worth sitting with is not, what is wrong with my dog? The question is, what has my dog been accurately reading in me? And is the thing they are reading something I want to continue broadcasting? Because here is the genuinely hopeful part. The same mechanism that built the mirror can be used to change what the mirror reflects. Co-regulation works in both directions. A more regulated nervous system produces a more regulated dog. More emotional permission produces a more expressive dog. A more secure attachment produces a dog that explores the world from a safer base. This does not happen overnight. It is the same slow, long game, but now you know you are playing it. And your dog, without being told anything, will notice. They are already watching. They have always been watching. The question is whether you are watching back with the same honesty they bring to watching you. When I think about what this research is really saying, I keep coming back to one image. A dog, after years of living with someone, sitting in exactly the way that person sits. Not because they were taught to, not because they share genetics, but because presence, sustained over time, leaves a mark. The creature most attuned to you in the world has been paying the kind of attention that most humans never receive from another human being. Every morning, every fear, every quiet afternoon, every moment you thought no one was watching, someone was. Your dog is not a reflection of your best self or your worst self. They are a reflection of your actual self, the one that shows up in the ordinary moments when your guard is down and the performance is off. And that self, whatever shape it is in right now, is already being read, recorded, and mirrored back to you by the animal sleeping at your feet. That is not a judgment. That is the most intimate thing I know how to say about the bond between a person and their dog. Now that you know your dog's personality has been quietly shaped by yours, built from your anxiety, your warmth, your social style, and your way of being in the world over years of shared life, which trait do you recognize most clearly in your dog right now? And when did you first realize it might actually be yours? Let us know in the comments. New episodes drop every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Make sure you are subscribed to catch the next one. Until then, decode your dog, decode yourself.